I am Zaya X, and I'm addicted to sneakers.
Boy, I've been working all goddamn year. I just got my check. I'm about to spend it all on me. I'm worth it.
As far as starting it, I want to say I went back to maybe like 14, 15, and you in high school, you seeing all the kids with the fly sneakers, seeing all the girls checking out the dudes with fly sneakers, and it just always stuck, man. And just the flashiness of sneakers and how dope it was, and I always knew that I wanted it and I wanted to be a part of that, but just funds was never really available for it. So I know at like 13, 14, I got a job in a candy store. I hated every day of it, but it was well worth every time. Every time I copped some, every time I rocked it with pride, knowing that I paid for it and I worked hard for it. Because my grandmother is like from the older days, and I was the only boy raised in my grandmother's household. My grandmother raised 6 girls, and it was a lot of. It was a good thing because my youngest aunt was like a town boy in a way, and she played ball, so she always had like fresh gear and stuff like that because she was working. So I always got like hand-me-downs here and there, but it was never the same when you get someone else's stuff versus you get your own stuff. So I know my grandmother, she never really believed in like high-priced items and stuff like that. So I would, while I was working at the candy store, I would cop stuff, and it was funny because the front door to my grandmother's house, my grandmother had me living in the basement, so there was like a window before you got to the front door, and I would literally go to the window and put my sneakers there, whether it be a new pair of sneakers or anything, and then I would go inside, say what up to my grandmother, say what up to the family, go down to the basement and open up the window to bring the sneakers in. And I must have done that at least for a good year and a half before I actually started like actually rocking them coming in the house. But even then I had to lie and say that they were like dumb cheap versus what the actual retail price was. Going back into time, I would not change a single thing, because it's events like that that create you as a person, and it's events like that it makes me look at my collection now, and it makes me appreciate every shoe that I have, because I knew back then I couldn't have it. Is it a pain? Yeah, it's a pain, because I'm an older guy and I'm still sort of living in the past. But what's your past without good memories, good or bad memories? They create the type of character that you are. And I don't, anybody that would say that they would change stuff, I would never change anything in my past, whether good or bad. My most successful moment was the accomplishment of copping my Kemps. Everyone knows 93 Kamikazes is my joint. That's what made it for me. That's the shoe that really just stuck in my mind, that sneakers would be forever, and I mean it when I say it. Like, I'm gonna be like a 90-year-old man rocking kicks. It's just gonna be that way. Kicks are comfortable for me. Kicks really give your character, really tell a story behind you every time that you show up. So my most successful was copping my Kemps and just being able to relate that to back in 93 when I was a young kid and I got my first pair. So right now I think I'm on my 3rd pair of Kemps. There's probably like 2 or 3 more colorways that it's probably going to be hard to find, but when I fully have that collection is when I'll fully just be at one with myself and my whole shoe addiction. My biggest loss with the whole culture, it actually was recently. I was collecting a lot of LeBrons, and I just saw that just with the whole hype that's going on now and the hype with LeBrons, I felt almost as if I was feeding into that. You know what I'm saying? I was going to the mall, acting the fool with all these, and when I say young kids, like, I hate to always single out the young kids as if they are a problem, which they are not in my aspect. Like, whether you're old or young, whether you bring something positive or negative, it should never be characterized as, the younger culture. But my biggest loss obviously was my LeBron collection. I had a nice little LeBron collection, but I was able to take that negative and turn it into a positive. And I think that you should always do that with anything you do, whether it be negative, find something positive in it, take that positive light and move forward. And I took that LeBron collection, I totally diminished it. I got like 3 LeBrons now out of like maybe 25, 30 that I had. And I was able to build up my Barkley collection, which I'm real happy with. But eventually I want to go back and get those LeBrons back, but just not in this time frame in which that whole LeBron is just way too hyped right now.
To your girl, in the comment you stated below that you have easily invested $10,000 or $20,000. Now we all know that sneakers are something rubber and glue and plastic or fucking laces at the end of the day, like you said. Now $20,000 invested in that, you know, I love sneakers, but do you think that is a waste when it comes down to the end of it? Like, when we're 90 years old, will this stuff really mean as much to us then as it is now? So would you consider that? What would you consider that?
At the end of the day, like, sneakers never really should be looked at as an investment, because I don't care what no one tells you, sneakers are not an investment. Sneakers are a hobby, a habit, never an investment. I say 10 to 20,000, and I say that really small because if you really take sneakers and you average it out to $100 a pair, after 10 pairs you're already at $1,000. So if you get to 50 pairs, you're roughly at 5,000. So do I think it's a waste? I think 100% it's a complete waste, because at the end of the day you only have 2 feet. You can't rock as many sneakers as we have, and you know, I don't really count because I think it's tacky. No offense to no one else, but I can easily say that there's more than 100 shoes in here. Do I really need all these 100 shoes? Probably not. Like, this is really just sort of like an emotional attachment. It's a way for me to look back on my past when I was less fortunate and really appreciate that, as well as appreciate what I have now. But kicks should never be looked at as an investment. People right now are, taking shoes and making money off of it, but at the end of the day, it's all rubber, man. And to me, it's more of a passion than it is money. I look at it. Is it a waste? Yeah, but you know, you pay for what you like, and you pay for what makes you happy in any aspect in life. Nothing is free. Don't let that be confused. You have to pay for what makes you happy in life, and kicks make me happy. As long as I'm happy, then I'll have a successful day in my mind. So when I wake up in the morning, I look at my kicks, it gives me a good, refreshness to go out, work harder to get more, and I think it breeds positive energy in a way. The only habit, like if my son was growing up, the only habit that I wouldn't help him support is sort of a drug habit. But if my son was addicted to sneakers, then I'd probably be ecstatic. I would hope that he's a size 11 so we could swap. But it's funny because a lot of people just naturally assume that because I love sneakers, then my son, if you see my son, then he'll have all the dopest sneakers. And it's really not like that. And it's almost the same concept as if you're a basketball player or you're a baseball player. You can't force your son to be a basketball player or a baseball player. You have to let your son emerge into his own identity. That's how I feel. My son literally walks into this room and nothing in this room interests him at all. Do I try to pressure him? No. Occasionally, like, I'll sit in here and I'll pull some sneakers out to see if it catches his interest, but it never does. My son loves video games. You could talk with him video games all day long, and he will talk to you video games. You ask him about a sneaker, and he's not going to be able to tell you jack squat. So me as my persona of Zaya X, me as being on YouTube, me as loving shoes, I don't progress that onto my son. My son will eventually grow into what he likes, and I'll support him. As long as it ain't drugs, and as long as he ain't killing my pockets, then I got his back no matter what. The only habit, like if my son was growing up, the only habit that I wouldn't help him support is sort of a drug habit. But if my son was addicted to sneakers, then I'd probably be ecstatic. I would hope that he's a size 11 so we could swap. But it's funny because a lot of people just naturally assume that because I love sneakers, then my son, if you see my son, then he'll have all the dopest sneakers. And it's really not like that. And it's almost the same concept as if you're a basketball player or you're a baseball player. You can't force your son to be a basketball player or a baseball player. You have to let your son emerge into his own identity. That's how I feel. My son literally walks into this room and nothing in this room interests him at all. Do I try to pressure him? No. Occasionally, like, I'll sit in here and I'll pull some sneakers out to see if it catches his interest, but it never does. My son loves video games. You can talk with him video games all day long, and he will talk to you video games. You ask him about a sneaker, and he's not going to be able to tell you jack squat. So me as my persona of Zaya X, me as being on YouTube, me as loving shoes, I don't take that. I don't progress that onto my son. My son will eventually grow into what he likes, and I'll support him as long as it ain't drugs and as long as he ain't killing my pockets. Then I got his back no matter what. As far as a boycott of Jordan, and I hate to put myself in a position because I criticize Jordan a lot, and a lot of people know that. But what the misconception is that I don't like Jordan Brand, and that's false. Like I do like some things from Jordan Brand. I just think it could be a lot better. As far as boycotting, I would never be on a scale, and I'm a realistic person. If I tell you something, it's because I truly speak from the heart. I would never boycott Jordan in a 20-person boycott. That's ridiculous. You're never gonna do anything. Some people may say, well, you shouldn't think that way because one person could spark something. I agree, but on the scale that Jordan Brand is now with selling shoes, 20 people is not going to affect Jordan Brand. 100 people is not going to affect Jordan Brand. It needs to be a wide scale boycott. If someone hit me up and said, yo, we got 20,000 people right now that's willing to boycott, yo, count me in. 20,000 is enough for it to make a slight dent. 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 is enough for it to pop up in a board meeting. 10 people, 15, 20 people, one person is not enough. Like, you're not even scratching the surface. And even 100,000, 50,000, 60,000, that's still a little bit. But a one person, 10 person boycott, you're not making no move there. That shoe is gonna sell regardless, and that's the point. It's not even about boycotting. The shoe has to sit on the shelf. When the shoe starts sitting on the shelf, you'll see change. Until then, we're gonna have to just deal with whatever they throw us.
You look like a proud American. Did you get out and vote?
I don't vote, man. as when it comes to man, yo, shout out to Cage Apparel, man. They gave me a T-shirt. It's funny, and on the back of it, they have like the whole political thing, and then they got like a horse and a donkey, I think it is, and excuse my language, it looks like it's fucking the world. And on the back it says vote, because either way we're screwed. And I totally 100% believe that when it comes to voting. I don't vote. Maybe some people think of it differently. They may say, well, your vote does make a difference. And same exact concept with Jordan Brand. I don't think one vote makes a difference. I just don't think so. Like, you're gonna have a guy that's gonna come in and he has to fix the last guy's problems, and you're only giving him 4 years. If he's lucky, you'll give him 8 years. But it's still not enough to fix all the problems that we've had. So as far as me, I don't vote. I'm sure other people are gonna just, not agree with me. But just voting has never been my thing. So I don't know. One wish to the sneaker genie would be the elimination of limited. I don't think anything should be limited, man. I think I wish one day that it could just go back to the love and not necessarily the money. Is it gonna happen? No way, because money talks. But if the sneaker genies could give me one wish, please, no limited, back to the love, unlimited. Matter of fact, every shoe that comes out, overpopulate it, overmake it, so that everyone could get it, everyone could live, and everyone could have this, the ability to get the shoe and not have to really fight and pay all kinds of crazy resale prices and stuff like that. Wrapping it up, man, I want to give a big shout outs to Swammp for coming through, showing some love. There was a lot that we spoke about that didn't make camera. Hopefully we collaborate again. If you're looking for me, Zaya X0712 at youtube.com. I'm also on Twitter, Zaya X0712. Follow me on Instagram, same exact name. And look for future vids, man. Definitely gonna collaborate again.
I had a love for this music, but ain't know how to pursue it. Was frustrated as a teen, I needed money for Buick.